Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the most groundbreaking love story Bollywood has seen in years. We're talking about Saiyaara, a film so refreshingly original that it only borrowed from about 15 other Bollywood movies. But hey, who's counting? This is the heartwarming tale of how audiences, starved of seeing actors who don't qualify for senior citizen discounts, flocked to theaters to watch two fresh faces do exactly what 50-year-old heroes have been doing for decades, just with less creepy age gaps and more believable chemistry. Before we dive into the absolutely predictable journey through Bollywood's most recycled love story ingredients, let me set the scene. A tried and tested plot that's been Bollywood's comfort food since the 2000s, and audiences so desperate for age-appropriate casting that they'll declare anything revolutionary as long as the hero doesn't look like he could be the heroine's father. We're not roasting a movie today, we're examining how Bollywood convinced everyone that serving reheated leftovers counts as a fresh meal, just because the waiters are younger and prettier. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Saiyaara's plot is basically a greatest hits compilation of every Bollywood tearjerker since 2005. Memory loss romance? Check. We've had Yumi or Hum and Vidya Balan and John Abraham in Salami Ishq, a struggling musician finding love through music, Aashiki 2 and Rockstar called to check if the audiences have had a lapse in memory. The film follows every single beat of the Bollywood memory loss romance playbook. Girl meets boy, they fall in love through meaningful lyrics, tragedy strikes in the form of a medical condition, dramatic separation, and finally a tearful reunion that makes audiences forget they've seen this exact story at least 5 times before. But here's the genius part. Take the exact same emotional beats that made audiences cry in Rockstar or Aashiki 2, add some contemporary music production, cast actors who actually look the age they're playing, and suddenly everyone thinks it's revolutionary. It's like serving the same biryani but changing the restaurant's interior design. The most hilarious part, critics praised it for bringing back the golden age of Bollywood romance. Translation, finally a movie that copies the old Bollywood classics instead of remaking South films. Sometimes the bar is so low, it's practically underground. Now, let's talk about what made Saiyaara genuinely refreshing. And it has nothing to do with the story. For once, Bollywood gave us a romantic lead who doesn't need bifocals to read his own dialogue. Ahan Pandey, at 24, actually looks like he belongs in the same generation as his love interest. Revolutionary! In an industry where 57-year-old Akshay Kumar regularly romances actresses young enough to be his daughters, and 60-year-old Khans are still playing the 30-year-olds experiencing love for the first time with actresses less than half their age, watching two actors in their 20s fall in love felt like witnessing a miracle. Finally, a hero who doesn't need a team of makeup artists to hide his crow's feet. The audience reaction was telling. People weren't just crying at the story, they were crying from relief. Look, the hero doesn't look like he could be my grandfather. Oh my god, they have actual chemistry instead of a student-teacher dynamic. This is what happens when Bollywood accidentally gets casting right. Saiyaara proved that audiences were never really opposed to fresh faces. They were just tired of watching romance between people who belong in different decades. When you cast actors who actually look like they're in love rather than a June-December therapy session, magic happens. But let's address the Nepo elephant in the room. Ahan Pandey, Chunky Pandey's nephew, Ananya Pandey's cousin, and living proof that sometimes the family business actually works. He's a Nepo kid who seems to have inherited actual talent along with a surname. The beautiful irony, in the film, his character literally rants about nepotism and demands recognition for fresh talent. It's like watching someone complain about reservation while sitting in a reserved seat. The audacity is almost artistic. But here's the twist. Unlike some cast members from the Archies, who often look like they were lost and reading cue cards, Ahan actually seems to understand what emotion looks like. He brings a raw energy that suggests he might survive without the family safety net. You know what else is refreshing? A channel that brings raw energy without recycling the same old criticisms. If you're enjoying this breakdown of cinema's comfort food, hit that subscribe button because unlike the typical Bollywood tried and tested plots, our content comes with genuine surprises and a voice. Let's take a moment to appreciate Saiyaara's realistic portrayal of early onset Alzheimer's in a 22-year-old. Because nothing says medical accuracy like diagnosing a complex neurological condition after one fainting episode. Who needs years of medical school when you have Bollywood logic? Real early onset Alzheimer's at 22 is rarer than finding an original plot in Bollywood, but in Saiyaara land, one dramatic swoon and boom, instantly memory loss. It's like WebMD wrote this script after a particularly dramatic caffeine crash. The film shows Vani forgetting 6 months of her life after bumping into her ex. Real doctors watching this probably need therapy. In actual Alzheimer's, memory loss is gradual and devastating. In Bollywood Alzheimer's, it's conveniently timed for maximum dramatic impact. But you know what? At least they tried to address a serious condition, even if their research consisted of watching The Notebook and calling it a day. Sometimes the intention matters more than the execution, especially when the execution involves actors who can actually act. Let's appreciate director Mohit Suri, who has turned making the same film into an art form. Emotional young lovers? Check. Tragic separation? Check. Music that you listen to on repeat, like your life depends on it? Double check. The man has a formula, and he's sticking to it like it's the secret to eternal youth. Suri's films are like comfort food. You know exactly what you're getting, it always hits the same emotional spots, and you never regret the experience, even though you've had it a dozen times before. He's the McDonald's of emotional manipulation, and honestly, sometimes that's exactly what you need. The genius is in the consistency. While other directors try to reinvent themselves every film, Suri has found his niche and perfected it. He's like that friend who always orders the same dish at restaurants. Predictable, but you know they're gonna enjoy every bite. And let's be honest, the man knows how to make a song hit differently. The Saiyaara soundtrack has tracks that lodge themselves in your brain like emotional parasites, much like most of his movie songs. You'll be humming them while questioning why you're suddenly crying during your morning commute. Here's the real tea. Saiyaara's success reveals more about Bollywood's audiences than the film itself. We're so starved for age-appropriate casting and genuine chemistry that we'll embrace any story no matter how recycled, as long as the leads don't look like they need separate Medicare plans. The film crossed 327 crores worldwide because audiences were desperate to see actors who actually belong together. It's like being served instant noodles after months of eating cardboard. Suddenly, even the most basic comfort food tastes gourmet. Young viewers finally saw themselves represented in a Bollywood romance. Instead of watching their grandfather's age mates awkwardly flirt with women their own age, they got to see actual peers navigating love. The relief was palpable and the box office reflected it. This proves that audiences don't necessarily want groundbreaking stories. They just want believable ones that are presented in a way that's relatable to your target audience. Give them actors who look like they shop at the same stores, listen to the same music, and face similar life challenges. And they'll forgive a multitude of plot sins. Credit where it's due. Ahan Pandey and Aneet Padda brought something genuinely refreshing to their recycled material. Watching them perform was like seeing familiar songs covered by talented new artists. Same lyrics, fresh energy, completely different impact. Aneet Padda handled a challenging Alzheimer's storyline with surprising maturity, even if the script treated the condition like a convenient plot device. She brought dignity to what could have been pure melodrama. And Ahan showed that nepotism isn't a bad thing, nor are people against it. If there is talent, their chemistry felt genuine because it probably was. Two newcomers figuring it out together instead of one seasoned actor babysitting a much younger co-star. There's something beautiful about watching equals work together rather than a mentor-student dynamic disguised as romance. The film industry noticed too. Suddenly everyone remembered that audiences prefer watching people fall in love rather than watching someone's midlife crisis play out through inappropriate casting choices. Revolutionary thinking, truly. Saiyaara accidentally highlighted Bollywood's biggest problem. We've been so accustomed to inappropriate age gaps that normal casting feels revolutionary. When 24-year-old actors playing 22-year-old characters seem groundbreaking, we need to examine our standards. The film's success should be a wake-up call. Audiences are ready for fresh faces and age-appropriate stories and characters that are relatable to your target audience. Sometimes, the best casting choice is the most obvious one. The real tragedy is that it took recycling old plots with new faces to prove this point. But better now than never. Baby steps are still steps. Saiyaara proved that sometimes the most revolutionary thing you can do is the most normal thing. Cast actors who fit their roles, tell emotional stories without relying on gimmicks, and trust audiences to appreciate authenticity. Shocking concepts, really. So what's the final verdict on Saiyaara? It's a beautifully executed cover version of songs we've seen before, performed by artists who actually understand the material. The story may be recycled, but the packaging made it feel fresh enough to matter. The film succeeded because it gave audiences what they've been craving. Sometimes meeting basic expectations feels revolutionary when those expectations have been ignored for much too long. So here's my question for you, fellow film lovers and critics. Would you rather watch your favorite recycled plot with fresh, believable casting, or completely original stories with age-inappropriate leads? Is authenticity in performance more important than originality in plotting? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this analysis of Bollywood's accidental revolution through normal casting, here's a reminder to gently press that like button and subscribe for more. Hit the notification bell because, unlike Bollywood's age gap problem, our upload schedule is refreshingly predictable. This is CelebrAsian. Until next time, keep the love of cinema going.